Hello there, I'm the Common Sense Guy, and, well, I'm back. Sorry that I've been away for almost 2 weeks, to be fair, since my last video. I can't really say the reasons why, it's just generally to do with family troubles and things like that. But I'm back, and I've got a hell of a story for you at this moment in time. There is a new political party that is being brought into the UK, that's being manufactured in the UK, that's being benefacted from France, and the name of that party is called Renew. Now, Renew is, as I said, an actual party that is now being formed that's trying to win seats like UKIP did at the beginning, and its main principles is that it is pro-European. So it is trying to reverse Brexit. Now, I'm going to actually go and find out what they actually believe in and what they have their core tendencies and how easy it is to become a member and things like that. So come with me now and let's find out how easy it is to reverse the democratic will of the people of the United Kingdom, shall we? Right, this is the beginning. I wanted to show you this because I find the title very, very interesting. Les Saboteurs, new anti-Brexit Renew Party to be launched in Britain backed by French pro-EU politicians. So that's people outside of our democracy, people outside of our country that are now backing a party by financial means as well as actually putting people in and stuff like that, interfering with our democratic views. Now, if this was America, that technically would be classed as treason, because now you have foreign parties interfering with our democracy. Does anybody actually remember the point of what the Russian story was supposed to be? The fact that Russians were trying to interfere, apparently, with Brexit and Trump's inauguration and election. Can you now put this into perspective, that this is actually happening because the French are actually saying, no, we back it, and we want it to be like this. This is an actual proper story of another country trying to influence the politics that are going on in another democracy. I just thought I'd put that out there. It follows a secret meeting in London between British campaigners and MPs from Emmanuel Macron's En Marche party. Yes, before we move on, I just wanted to actually point out what Emmanuel Macron, the amazing politician that he is, the amazing point of realising that he actually has some form of democracy, and if he was able to use his democracy, people would actually vote to leave. So I just wanted to put this out here very, very quickly. And there you go. Emmanuel Macron. France would probably vote to leave the EU. The French president believes his country might also have quit the bloc if offered the choice of a referendum. Now, the point of this is to say offered the choice in a referendum. That's very, very interesting, isn't it? The fact that you're going to say that this centrist is the one that's going to offer so much more political diversion, so much more democracy, shall we say. But yet will not even give the people probably what they actually want and a choice to have a referendum. And that's one thing you have to say about the Conservatives. The fact that they actually did put the referendum on the table. Maybe it was ill-informed. Maybe it was the fact that they wanted to put the whole idea to bed. But it was the fact that they actually did do it. They actually did the referendum. The French and Emmanuel Macron, he's not going to do that. He knows that the French people would vote to leave. So the fact that his party, and remember this, his party and his MPs are now influencing our democracy by trying to get MPs on this new group, the Renew politicians, to be able to try and scupper Brexit in any way possible. Now, if this isn't a plot, I don't know what is. I don't want to be too conspiratorial theory, but it's very, very interesting. The fact that they would moan at Russia to try and say, oh yes, we think that Russia are doing this. Then you've got the French actually coming out and saying, no, we've actually going to do this, and we are backing this political group. Here's all the information you need, and it's being published. But yet nobody bats an eyelid because it's France. I don't understand the hypocrisies in life anymore. I really don't understand it. Going back to the actual story at hand, a new anti-Brexit party is to be launched in Britain and backed by French pro-EU politicians. So remember that, it's backed by French pro-EU politicians. There's not even partisan groups in this. It's just a point of French MPs wanting to scupper and stop the process of Brexit, which we, as a democracy, decided that we were going to leave. Very interesting, isn't it? It follows a secret meeting in London between British campaigners and MPs from Emmanuel Macron's En Marche party. So that's interesting, isn't it? So it's actually MPs that have come across and set this idea up, set this political movement into practice and motion, so to speak, financed it and whatever, and with more than 200 potential candidates already identified, are going to be running for constituencies to try and actually influence the democracy of the United Kingdom. But yet when Russia apparently did it, it was wrong. But now that France are doing it for the right reasons apparently, it obviously doesn't matter because, oh, well, that's alright, they can interfere with our democracy for some whatever reason. They're spreading truth. No, they're spreading your truth. And I think that's where we're failing at this moment in time. The fact that democracy in itself is a failing art. It was held at the weekend in London, where the names of more than 200 potential parliamentary candidates were disclosed, along with a leader. They want the new Renew Party to be a similar movement to French leaders embracing people from ordinary life rather than conventional politicians. Well, that's interesting, because you have people like doctors and things like that are in there. You can't really say that doctors are from normal life. By that I mean they are not what you would call lower class or middle class. You would probably call them higher middle class. I'm not trying to differentiate between the two. I'm not really that bothered. It's just the fact that you try to say that there is a difference between your political party and another. The only difference is the propaganda that you're willing to spill. That's all. On its website it reads, political parties have failed us. They cannot realise this dream. Nor can you, because you're going against the will of the democracy. You're going against the democratic vote of the people. How undemocratic is that? I cannot stress that enough. There is nothing worse than what you're trying to do at this moment in time. You're actually trying to scupper the will of the people because you believe you know better than the will of the people. That's the problem with this. We need a new generation of people from outside politics to stand for election, lead our country and renew the British dream. Yeah, we'll have a look at the new generation of people that you decide to put forward as candidates very, very soon, won't we? It's very interesting. Their openly stated aims is to reverse the result of the EU referendum and stop Brexit from taking place. So remember that. Remember that. That is their stated aim, is to reverse the result of the EU referendum. Not to try and change the result, but to reverse it. The language is important there. The language is the most important part of this. To reverse the result. Not to change it, not to change people's mind, but to reverse the EU referendum. Interesting, isn't it? The party say, we want to stop Brexit and believe a second referendum on the final deal negotiated with the EU is overwhelmingly in the interest of both Leave and Remain supporters. Well, you can believe all you want, but the interest of Leave is actually to leave. As simple as that. You're trying to put words into people's mouth, trying to say that you cater for these people, but under a democracy you don't pretend that you know what people want. You ask the people what they want. That's the reason why we have referendums. But it's even more important to have a look at the start of this. The parties say we want to stop Brexit. Stop it. They don't want a second referendum. If they do, the only reason why they want it is to stop it in general. And that is the whole purpose of this. The fact that you have foreign governments and foreign MPs now interfering in our democracy. This is not my words. These are not what I'm thinking. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is not the Russians. This is the French. And they are coming forward. At the beginning of this story, you obviously read with me the fact that French MPs met with these people to give them money to be able to start off their process, to be able to identify over 200 political people to be able to stand as candidates in their constituencies. I thought that was illegal. Foreign interest coming in. I don't know, maybe. The British people must be allowed a vote on the reality of Brexit and come to an informed decision. Well, I can't speak for everybody that voted for leave, but I can speak for myself. And I can speak for probably a good percentage. Not all, maybe not all, but a good percentage. Most of us voted because we know that the European Union, under the Customs Union, is controlling us by the European courts. Also as well, with free movement, comes with the single market. So we wanted to leave the Customs Union and the single market so we could have our sovereignty back and control our borders, respectively. It's not that hard to work out. We still want to trade, but we don't want to trade under those premises. It doesn't work that way. We voted to leave, we leave the EU. That is the process of a democracy. Sometimes you have to do what you don't want to do because the will of the people has said. We would put pressure on all politicians to offer a second referendum by standing parliamentary candidates in every constituency in the UK. Interesting. They already have that much money where they can actually produce candidates that are going to be in every constituency in the UK. Interesting. And they will get quite a lot of people. Labour's lead will shrink. Some of the Conservatives' lead will shrink. And it will be a process where they'll be able to scupper most of the EU negotiations because they will be voting everything down. And it's still the process of French government interfering with the British government. I don't understand how people are not seeing this as a invasion of sorts. And no, not from immigrants. This is actually from a foreign government that is trying to interfere and influence our government. I can't stress this enough how bad this is and how we are being invaded. Now we're going to go on to the actual Renew Britain, which is the actual party page. So we're going to go on to that and we're going to talk about what's going on here, their views, what type of members they have. So I'll see you very, very soon. Right, so this is renewbritain.org. This is their actual point, people from outside politics to renew Britain's hope. So, let's have a quick look. Our economy, reduce inequality, reverse Brexit. So, vision. Renew is a new type of political party which aims to transform British politics by recruiting people from all over the country to stand for Parliament. We want to use people-centred approach to drive the country, consulting real people in the decision-making process to find real solutions. We need you to join us as one of 650 candidates and 1,000 volunteers and supporters throughout Britain. This movement needs you to help change the face of politics. No, this movement needs you to be able to change Brexit. So, our people. So, quite interesting by some of the names that are there, isn't it? It's quite interesting. I want to see if they actually have more of a list. No, they don't. And as featured, to become a candidate, we'll go with core ideas to begin with. Alright, so that looks like it's the beginning of a couple of people there. There's a wide selection. The team at Renew will shortly be heading out all over the country to listen to what you think we can do to renew Britain. We want to hear about the issues and policies most important to you. So please email. Really? So please email us with your ideas. We're going to go out and talk to people, but email us as well, because we can't be bothered to do our jobs. Lovely. Just freaking lovely. We believe that if every British citizen lives up to our responsibility to each other, then we have never had a greater hope of achieving a life of opportunity for all. Do people not realise that equality stretches to everybody at this moment in time? There is no inequality at the minute. If there is, please show me where my rights supersede any of yours. I'd be really interested in finding that out. But right now, it seems that future is not possible. Living standards have been falling since 2008. Both Labour and the Conservatives have responded with scapegoating populism. Well, there might be a reason for that. If both parties are actually saying that populism might actually be what's wrong, then maybe populism is what's actually wrong. The return of identity politics has pushed us to extremes. What do you mean the return? It's only been happening for the last 10 to 15 years. Identity politics hasn't left. We saw in 2008 what happens when capitalism is left unrestrained. No, that was corporatism, and that was Labour that actually opened up the floodgates by changing laws so bankers could make more investments and riskier investments. That was what you call cronyism. But yes, please, carry on telling me what you do know. The 1970s showed socialism is also catastrophic. The 1970s showed socialism is also catastrophic. Well, it's funny how the change in language is there. When capitalism is left unrestrained and socialism is catastrophic, there's different from unrestrained and catastrophic. But then again, I suppose that's just language so you can actually use it for your propaganda. But whatever. Both the state and private sector have important roles to play. Technology has changed how markets operate, rendering the old political distinctions between right and left irrelevant for the 21st century. No, they haven't. The political spectrum is not irrelevant because technology has evolved. The political spectrum still carries on. It adapts, it moulds. Just because you want to make yourself to be a centrist and think that you're the ones that are going to be able to reduce this polarisation, it's not going to happen. People are making choices because you're not letting them talk about the issues that affect them. It's as simple as that. That's the only thing that you need to do to win any election in this country now, is to talk about the issues that affect everybody and people will flock to you. It's not that hard to work out. It is vital to form a new party to offer alternative leadership to our country. I would agree with that, apart from the premise that you've already decided that you're going to be pro-European and you're backed by France and Emmanuel Macron's party. I would be absolutely fine if you were just a grassroots part of government that's just sprung up. I'd be well happy. Good, we need more parties. But you're being backed by the EU. You're being backed by France. You're being backed by Macron. There is no way that you can be bipartisan here. All you're going to do is try to scupper the process of Brexit. Let's be honest. That's the only reason why this party has been put into place and actually birthed. Not because you feel that you're going to be actually make a change and win any sort of forms of elections to become leader of the group or leader of the country, but because you just want to scupper it. This party would be open to the world, markets and Europe. But you can't be open to the world markets if you're in Europe, because it's restricted by the customs union. Don't you realise that? That's where I always go wrong with people, where they go, oh yeah, we can make our own deals. No, we can't. Otherwise we would have made deals with our Commonwealth partners ages ago. These are some of our ideas about how to get there. So let's have a quick look. Stop Brexit, second referendum. Our country is divided by the EU referendum because many people feel they were lied to. No, the country is divided by the EU referendum because people wanted to leave and people wanted to remain. Not because they were lied to. You just perceiving and trying to project feelings onto people that don't actually have those types of feelings. So people believe your propaganda. We believe a second referendum is overwhelmingly in the interest of both Brexit and Remain supporters. Why? Why would it be overwhelmingly in the idea of both? Because Brexit voted to leave. Brexiteers voted to leave. and Remain supporters voted to remain. Surely the second referendum would only be beneficial to Remain supporters, depending on what you put in there. So let's carry on. The referendum would be on the final deal negotiated with the EU, so the country can vote on the reality of Brexit and come to an informed decision. But you've just said it's the final deal. You're going to have a referendum on the final deal, meaning that if the deal's not up to your standards, which is absolutely funny to me, if the deal's not up to your standards, you're going to vote to not have the deal and then have us leave as a hard Brexit negotiations anyway. To be honest, I don't even know why I'm against this. You might as well have the second referendum. That way I can get what I want and have a hard Brexit. That might actually be the best way of doing this. With a hung parliament, the parliament's not hung anymore because they have the DUP. But whatever. An election could happen at any time. No, it can't. Because they actually have a government. It's been put into place. So there can't be an election at any point. We want to put pressure on all politicians to offer a second referendum by standing parliamentary candidates in every constituency in the UK. In other words, you want to scupper the ideas. You want to stop the voting process. You want to make sure that the deal doesn't even go through in the first place. That's your process. So, the innovation superpower. Today's fourth industry revolution is fusing the physical, digital and biological worlds. We mean to lead this revolution and be the world's innovation superpower again. We will invest in infrastructure and research labs in vital technologies. You do realise that the Conservatives are already doing this, and so do Labour. You're not offering any differences in this, such as batteries, biotechnology and artificial intelligence to create the wealth to revolutionise opportunity and fund high quality public service. For the most of it, the Conservatives are already doing that. Labour want to do it, so what are you offering that's actually any different? Apart from maybe some more public services. Sustainable public services. The national debt has doubled under the Conservatives and is still rising. We believe the best answer is consistent sustainable economic growth. In the short term, however, we must either cut more public services or pay more tax. While there are always efficiencies to be found, we believe public services have been cut enough and health and defence too much. We believe we have a responsibility to pay moderately more tax to sustainably fund our public services and stop debt increasing. Yeah, I don't really have too much to say about that, apart from people, please have a look between the debt and the deficit. I'll explain it like this way. With debt, we took out a particular loan. The deficit is the interest, or can be compared to interest on a loan. We've now just recently paid off almost all of the interest. Now we have to pay off the debt. The problem is that we paid off the interest first, obviously, because we have to, otherwise you can't pay the debt off. It's a case of the interest still increases the debt. The point is that we've now paid off that, and we can now start paying the debt off, which would be quicker. But I suppose people don't really understand economics that well. Revolutionary opportunity. Education at any time of life. We'll make sure nobody is left behind in education by coordinating existing educational institutions. We'll create a system where anyone can get into university or achieve the skills they need at any time of life. We will also make sure there's financial support and childcare available to overcome barriers to learning around existing work communities. Question: how the fuck are you going to pay for that? How the fuck are you going to pay for that? You think that that's all going to become easy? And the fact that you're going to be able to put anybody into that has any level of skills, or in this point, qualifications to be able to go to university, that just means that the people that are going to university are not actually going to have important qualifications anymore. It's going to become as easy as getting GCSEs. It's going to become as easy as getting your A-levels and so on and so forth. The reason why people go to university is to specialise in the craft that they want to go into. If you have only 200,000 jobs that are in for science degrees, for instance, and you have over 1 million people that have science degrees, where are they going to go? Doesn't work like that. Universities are there not for everybody to go to. They're there for people that want to make their lives better, to be able to go and do that. You are changing the market and then wondering why people are losing money and why jobs are so easy to come by. Sorry, not why jobs are so easy to come by, but why there are so many jobs that are taken so quickly. It's just funny to me. Student loans are not working. We will begin to explore scrapping fees of specific subjects in science and technology essential to national interest. Now, let me just read that. We will begin by exploring scrapping fees for specific subjects in science and technology. Interesting. Essential to the national interest and make sure our young people are at the forefront of innovation. So you're going to push people to do stuff that they don't want to do. Interesting. We will invest in and promote better apprenticeships and technical courses and make sure they are as respected as university degrees. Again, going back to education at any time of life, as you put up there. If apprenticeships are respected as any form of university degree, then what's the point in going to fucking university? Invest outside London. Highest possible minimum wage. We want to even out the north-south divide and bring greater wealth to regions outside of London. We will raise the minimum wage to the highest possible level, review zero-hour contracts and encourage the development of business in underinvested areas. Well, interesting. You actually haven't really stated anything because the minimum wage is national anyway. That's the whole point of a national minimum wage, you idiots. Funny. The thing is that people actually forget that Labour introduced zero-hour contracts, and the fact is that people use zero-hour contracts quite regularly so they can work when they want to work. Yes, I know that companies also abuse that type of thing, but some people want it. I'm not trying to say that it's the best thing or not. To be honest, I'm not really interested in zero-hour contracts. I don't really like the idea of them. Aggressive house building. We must end the housing crisis by aggressively building 2 million homes on brownfield sites to take steps to ensure every home is occupied. Our aim is to build 1 million homes around London and 1 million homes in areas where this will aid the local economy. So in other words, you said that you're going to even out the north-south divide, but you're going to put over half of the homes that you're going to build in fucking London. Wow. That's not a contradictory move. I'm not even going to carry on reading the bloody rest of that. That's just stupid. Bringing health home. We acknowledge the huge difficulties facing the NHS. We will use experts to identify the problems and research the appropriate solutions. So you're trying to say that you're going to do a lot, but you're actually going to do fuck all. We will relieve pressure on our overloaded A&E units. A new NHS lab will harness the power of the NHS and its people, investing in ideas to develop new health technology and in equipment, drugs and diagnostic from big data. Again, lots of big fucking words, but absolutely nothing to be done. So you're going to relieve the pressure of A&E units by what? Harnessing the power of its people? By the power of Grayskull, I'm He-Man. That makes no sense. What are you going to do? Build more? I don't understand what you're going to do with that. It's just a lot of words that don't actually do anything. One of the most important, immigration. We understand that immigration is important to the economy, but also a legitimate concern for many. More can be done to implement existing EU rules, such as repatriation of those who have not found work in a reasonable time frame. We will resolve the issue of international students who are a great asset to our economic future and make sure we continue to attract the brightest minds to fuel our industries from all over the world. So one of the most important processes and most important ideas, the most important things that are causing Brits the most problems in general, the main reason why a lot of people would say that you're racist because you're voting down immigrants and your immigration policy is, oh yeah, people that have been abroad for too long, we're going to bring them back And students that are coming across, we're going to increase them. It's like, okay, well, what are you going to do about the other bit? Oh, that's right. You want us to stay in the EU, don't you? That means we don't have any control about how we actually tell people to come in and out of our country. That's right, isn't it? So I just wanted to do a quick conclusion to this video because I know that this has gone back to a long format from myself. But unfortunately, I felt that this was a video that I really needed to do as a long format. I wanted to show people what actually was going on. The fact that this new party, this Renew Britain party, so to speak, is taking hold of the Remainers, is going to be the catalyst where a lot of the Remainers from both sides are going to congregate and try to scupper the processes of Brexit. This party has been introduced not to try and take control of the country, in my opinion. This party has been introduced by the French and the EU as most conspiratory theory as anybody wants to put it, but it's my opinion, and to this opinion, I think that this European party that is now being made by the Renew Britain is being backed by Macron, is being backed by Macron's party, and is trying to destroy the Brexit ideas because it in itself, the European Union, is starting to fall apart. Now, this party does not offer anything in regards to policy that's going to change the country. There's no radical points where universities are going to be scrapped or we're going to do this. There's no policies of high taxing or anything else like that. In fact, the words are there so it tries to attract a lot of people to, we could increase tax or we could cut more public services. Those are the types of policies that can go from right or left to try and get people to come back in. The only policy that is going to be universal towards all the people that are going to go for this party is one simple principle. And that principle is going to be remaining part of the European Union. As in, their pledge is to stop Brexit. That is their simple and only proper message, that they are going to stop Brexit, either by forcing the second referendum, which is fine, as I said in this video. They want to do the second referendum on the final deal, and then we have to leave via hard Brexit. I'm happy with them doing that. Let's do it. But I'm not happy with them trying to scupper the process and scupper the deal in the first place. So people will actually come out and say, well, the deal's going to be crap, so let's not have it anyway. And let's not leave. We made a mistake. Because they're going to take the constituencies, and some constituencies like the Liberal Dems and some of the Labour and some of the Conservatives that all voted to remain. If they take some of them constituencies, then they're going to be able to influence the Parliament and be able to force people to make sure that they don't actually pass any sort of legislation that goes through with Brexit. They can scupper the ideas in the Houses of Parliament. And I think that's the reason why this party has been introduced and why it's been introduced now. The timing of this party is very influential, especially considering people like Boris Johnson, Jacob Rees-Mogg and David Davis have been linked to taking over the Conservatives very, very recently. I think the timing of this is very, very intriguing. And if one didn't believe in the ideas of conspiratory theories or conspiracy theories in general, then it would be the point of looking at this and connecting the dots and seeing that the party is being funded, backed and endorsed by La Marche Move Forward from France, Macron's centrist supposedly party, that won't even be bipartisan enough to be able to give their democratic people a vote on a democratic right of either staying or leaving the EU, because they know that they will vote to leave the EU. And this in itself is what's scaring me. The fact that everybody was kicking off so hard about the idea of maybe Russia collusion for this and that. And now you actually have proof of collusion and the actual proof that a country and a country's leading party or governing party is trying to influence the democracy of another nation to try and make sure that they don't leave the EU. Is that in itself okay because people accept the fact that it's going to be? Is that in itself acceptable because people think that it's what they want? That people don't understand? Or is it the fact that the right don't actually complain like the left do? Is that the reason why we're losing ground? Is that the reason why people that want to leave Brexit, is that why people that want to leave the EU are not gaining any ground? Because they're not fighting anymore where the Remainers are, to the point where they're actually having people from Europe coming across to actually scupper the ideas of democracy in itself, in its entirety. This party is not the fact that it's trying to just jeopardise Brexit, in my opinion. This party is the whole point of jeopardising democracy. This is an attack on nationalistic democracy. The fact that the British people decided to leave, whether you agree with that or not, is not the issue. The issue is that democratically, we voted we were supposed to leave. Now we have a party backed by another country that's coming in to try and scupper those that want to leave. The democratic will of the people. Now, as that is not an attack on democracy, I do not know what is. I am at a conundrum at this point as well, because I do not know how to move this forward. But I suppose we could make awareness for all of this, and hopefully people would understand what's going on. So I ask you to share this video as much as possible. Not for my channel, not for this video or anything else like that, no views, I don't get monetized for it, but for the simple fact that maybe people that are a hell of a lot more intelligent than I am will be able to pick this up and be able to run with it and actually be able to demigrate this story and actually prove all the facts of this story. The fact that this is being run by the French government, which means that it's being run by the European Union. This is a physical attack on our democracy, and we need to be vigilant and we need to be able to be aware that we need to fight back. With that being said, don't forget to like this video, don't forget to share this video as much as possible, please. And with that, I bid you farewell, I bid you adieu, take care, and I'll see you all again real soon. Bye-bye for now.